Welcome back to the double leg. I'm one half of the show, HI Picks. The other half of the show, the parlay. Joining me in to recap some UFC Vegas 77. Let's So we had 13 fights on a card that looked pretty rough on paper, and it was fairly low level. And we got a lot of fights and a lot of activities going on in these fights that I gotta say it looked turned in like the circus. It looked pretty weird. It looked pretty weird. You had Chelsea Chandler running. You had an arm get dislocated. You had Eileen Perez getting oil checked. All the weird stuff. What'd you think of the card?
Dude, yeah, just all over the place. Unpredictable stuff happening. I had Estela Nunez. I had her by first and second round finish, and she breaks her arm. I was confident that she was going to get, I don't think she would have gotten taken down on that shot. I think she was far enough away that she would have just kind of got back to her feet. And I thought she was going to piece her up on the feet as the fight went on. So I was really upset to see that arm break. Jack Della Maddalena, we'll get into that. Eileen Perez setting the record for bantamweight. Most takedowns ever in a fight, 10. I don't know. Weird card, kind of crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happening. Main event, didn't see that coming, honestly. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. Weird card, disappointing card on this side of the bets as you know, I know you were down, I was down. Disappointing in that fashion, but just, I don't know, man. That weird card. I'm glad we're going to UFC London next week, this week, and then 291 after that.
Yeah, a very weird card. And for the first time in, I think, the double leg history, we were both in the red, which is like pretty wild.
Yeah.
But if you were part of the premium membership, we just gave away, or we did a giveaway because we were both in the red. We don't like to leave our members hanging like that. If you want to get in on that, we're going to try to right the ship next week. But, I mean, we had quite the hot streak for a while, so I think it's just kind of part of the game. You're going to have a bad week now and then. It wasn't really that bad, but, when we're both in the red, it's usually like, what the hell happened? So, yeah, we're moving on to UFC London for that. But for now, we're going to recap UFC Vegas 77 at the Apex in the main event. Bueno Silva getting the standing ninja choke, standing guillotine type choke on Holly Holm. And, I had a feeling going into this one that the danger that Bueno Silva presents with the submissions and on the feet could be something that Holly Holm just hasn't really faced like that much in her past couple fights. Like Yana Santos doesn't face that, or she doesn't present that. Ketlin Vieira, not like that much either. Really, you'd have to go back 3 years to Irene Aldana, who's like, she has the submissions, sure, but the power is somewhat there. But Bueno Silva is like kill or be killed type fighter, and she lost the first round and then gets that guillotine or ninja choke. Right at the beginning of round 2, and was shocking. But at the same time, it's like, I look back on it now, I'm like, how did I not see that coming? Like, women's MMA, the only dog that came through the entire night was, of course, the women's main event. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably why we didn't have, or at least I didn't have the greatest nights, because a lot of the favorites came through, and we like to take chances on dogs. So yeah, Bueno Silva gets it done. What's next for Holly Holm? I don't know. She's probably got like 5 fights left on her contract.
Yeah, she's got a few.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I was halfway expecting her to retire, because I mean, she is 41 years old, and you just lost to Mayra Bueno Silva, who's a good fighter, but now it's kind of a steep road back up to try to get in the title mix. Like, you weren't really in the title conversation yet, anyways. But with a loss to Bueno Silva, now you got some work to do. And if you're not fighting for titles, if you're Holly Holm, like, what are you really doing anymore? I'm pretty sure she's probably set financially. Seems like a smart person. She's had a ton of fights in the UFC, some bonuses and stuff. So unless she just purely loves the sport, which I'm sure she does, maybe she'll keep fighting. But I mean, 41 years old, you got to be thinking about doing something else, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. As far as the fight goes, I was a little surprised at that ending, and that Bueno Silva got the win. And I don't think it's because I think Bueno Silva is a bad fighter by any means. She's dangerous. She's good. Obviously, the submission game is really, really good. But I thought the whole fight was going to look like the first round. Holly Holm, landing some decent kicks, some shots on the feet, and getting the clinch up against the cage, working some takedowns, just controlling the fight. And as the fight went on, I thought it was going to be Holly Holm keeping a great pace and Bueno Silva kind of fading out, and Holly Holm just getting more and more dominant. And then, second round, Holly Holm, who has great head position in the grappling exchanges. And when she was up in the clinch against the fence, like Holly Holm has phenomenal head position, and she left it open for one split second, and Bueno Silva jumped on it. That thing was locked in too. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, she wasn't getting out of there. In the last 6 years, Holly Holm is now 0-4 against Brazilians, and those are the only chicks that she's lost to. So
yeah,
she's matched up with a Brazilian next. You might want to take Brazilian. Move on to the co-main event. Jack Della Maddalena getting it done by split decision. This was one that I got to pat myself on the back because I read it pretty dang well, but I'm a little pissed I didn't put it in the premium bets, but I did put it on my page. I had Jack Della Maddalena by decision at plus 750 because I knew everyone was going to be on him by round 1 KO, possibly round 2, but nobody, or I would say very few, saw it going to a decision. And I just thought Basil was going to be too tough. The wrestling he was going to be able to mix in. And we saw Jack go for a bunch of submissions. I don't think you're going to submit Basil Hafez. He's legit BJJ. The way he was passing that guard when he was going for those guillotines and stuff, it was real nice. And the dude definitely has a spot in the UFC moving forward. But what'd you think of Maddalena's performance?
Yeah, I like the second round finish. I didn't play it on the premium plays because that fight's just, something was really weird about it from the beginning. Ever since it was announced, short notice for Basil, and Jack Della Maddalena has been in a weird spot the last few weeks. Cutting weight, getting ready for a fight, it gets canceled. It's been back and forth for him. So, but I thought that Hafez would slow down a little bit and maybe take some body shots and get finished in the second round, because Jack's boxing and striking is so clean and so crisp. But man, Hafez is tough as nails too, because there was some shots he was eating in some combinations when he was tired, to the body, up top, to the head. And, you could tell he was a little hurt, but he wasn't going down for anything. So props to him on that. And obviously his ground game's phenomenal. Jack's a little lucky there at times. I think with a full camp, Hafez poses some serious danger to guys like Jack Della Maddalena. And Hafez is going to be a tough out for anybody in the UFC. Jack made some mistakes in the fight, though, that I didn't really see coming from him. And I think it's going to bite him in the ass if he keeps making some of those same mistakes going forward. Trying to go for some of those submissions at times, or like even try to take the fight to the ground or jump guillotine at times when, you're piecing him up on the feet and he has no answer for you besides throwing haymakers that you're easily ducking out of the way. So, a little confusing at times. I think there was a level of panic in Jack in that fight at times too. Like, I think he expected to go out there and finish him, and when he realized he couldn't, he just panicked a little bit. Because for Jack too, mentally, like, this is a guy who's on short notice, first UFC fight in his life, and you're this rising prospect with a ton of hype, and people, think you're one of the best, fighters in that division, up and coming, and you can't put him out. Now you're thinking, a little bit of self-doubt and stuff like that. But overall, I do think Jack won the fight. But I was halfway expecting a split decision for Hafez there, just to mix it up a little bit. But yeah, man, fun fight to watch though.
Yeah, I think a lot of the mistakes that Jack made was due to like the short notice, because if you had like a full training camp for Basil, like like just stay on the feet. Like, why are you going for these submissions? Why are you, trying to pull guillotine and stuff like that? Like, if you had a full camp, I would think you would know you're probably not going to pull that off. Like, you're just not. Like, you're Jack Della Maddalena. Use your boxing. Like, you're teeing off on him on the feet. Like, just do that. And just short notice, he was probably like, if it's there, I'll try it. Like, why not?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, to drop the first round and then come out in the second round and the third and stuff all the takedowns. The only reason that I think people think Basil won round 2 is because he ended up on top for the final 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Which was like, completely Jack's fault because he went for that guillotine. If he doesn't go for that guillotine, like it's pretty clear Jack, or maybe he even finishes him in round 2, but it's pretty clear Jack round 2, round 3. Basil, an absolute dog though. I part of me, even holding the Jack plus 750 by decision ticket, part of me wanted Basil to get the win just to like
Yeah.
help him like get that moment for him because the dude was a dog. He took some shots and he
He
was
gave some too, though.
yeah.
Yeah, he can stick, dude.
If he doesn't throw back, if he doesn't like start to brawl with him in like these instances where Jack's starting to land, then Jack has no like respect for him at all, and he's just gonna keep teeing off on him. But the fact that Hafez was like throwing back to him from time and time again, like in between the takedowns, helped him out a lot on the feet because you don't want Jack to just like completely not respect you on the feet because he's gonna do some bad things to you.
Yeah, in Jack's defense last night, some of those shots and body shots while Hafez was tired probably put down and put out 95% of the guys in that division.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he was just ripping the body up and coming upstairs, and I was impressed with that aspect, and even more impressed that Hafez stayed standing. But man, dude, yeah, Hafez, I'm excited to see him fight again already.
Yeah, me too. That's 15 in a row for Jack Della Maddalena, 15-2. Now, Francisco Prado, Atman Azaitar. This is one I wish I would have went with you on Francisco Prado. I was just going for the puncher's chance in Atman, but Prado looked like he was very calculated in there and just he looked a little bit more prepared on the feet than Atman did. Atman was looking for like some big shot, and Prado was like in and out, switching it up, and he got the finish. Questionable stoppage. I don't think there's any kind of alternate outcome that comes out of that if he doesn't stop it, but either way, gets it done in the first round. What'd you think?
Yeah, the stoppage was a little weird. I liked Prado all week, and the one thing that did make me nervous though is that he looked really good on the regional scene. He looks good against lower level competition, and then he gets to the UFC and against Jamie Malarkey, like he didn't get to really showcase any of his skills because he was just taken down and kind of controlled and had to play off the bottom. So yeah, I was expecting him to look really good, but there was a slither of doubt that was like, man, maybe this kid isn't all cracked up, or all made out to be what he's, all this hype he's got and stuff like that. Maybe Ottman is just going to put him out, but yeah, he ate some good shots. He gave some good shots back, and Ottman, man, coming off that knockout not that long ago, that's one of the reasons I took Prado, because Prado does hit really hard. He's an exciting fighter too. He's gonna fight with everybody. He's a dog as well.
Yeah, that spinning elbow was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Finished it off. Jun Young Park, one I didn't see coming, getting the submission win for the third time in a row, third straight rear naked choke for Jun Young Park, getting it done in the second round. Duraev, he came out, looked pretty good on the feet, explosive on the feet, but Jun Young Park, man, the guy is as durable as they come, and he just pushed the pace and just wore him out basically. And I thought he was going to be able to survive that second round and go into round 3, but he just gave him the neck at the end there. I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" Because he fought off that guillotine in round 1. I guess maybe he was like, "I don't want to fight this off anymore." Jun Young's just pushing the pace on me, but yeah, Jun Young Park moving forward. He's always he's the dark horse, man. He's always going to be a little bit underrated. He's not flashy, but he gets it done. What do you think?
Yeah, Park's sneaky good, man. Like you said, he's not flashy. He doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't go out there and flatline dudes. But I mean, he's got great volume. He's got a great ground game. And we saw him submit Joseph Holmes, but Joseph Holmes isn't the best fighter. But to go out there and submit Duraev, that was super impressive. And I was on Duraev, and I hate losing a bet like that when the guy gasses. Like, it makes it that much worse when the dude just basically gives up. If it would have went to the decision, or Park would have just knocked him out cold, I could live with that. But just giving up because you're tired just sucks so bad. I thought Duraev could come out and win the first 2 rounds with his grappling and with his explosiveness and landing some good shots. And I figured Park would probably win the third. Didn't think he'd finish him though. You were on Park, weren't you? You had a bet on Park.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking back, man, I wish I would have just stayed on that side with you. But what can you do?
Yeah, I just figured like I don't see anywhere that Duraev beats him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he can hold him down. Like, he got that one takedown in round 1, I think. Park got up within like 30 seconds. I'm like, yeah, this is looking pretty good. So
Yep.
one that didn't look good for me, Chelsea Chandler was running, and I wish she just would have ran out of the cage because she absolutely got smoked by Norma Dumont. And I'm honestly so pissed I took Chelsea Chandler because I thought she'd go in there and make it dirty, make it a dogfight, and Norma was having none of that. She just, I mean, that first round when she cracked Chandler, it was like, all right, this is probably not going to go well because once you start getting cracked on the feet, you don't want to make it a dogfight anymore. Like, you just don't. Yeah. And Norma caught that one, and she just kind of had her way with her. She'd get her on the ground, and Chandler could not get up for the life of her. And even if she found herself on top, I think there was like maybe once during the fight she found herself on top, Norma was just able to reverse it. It's like, come on, like she just got outclassed in every aspect of mixed martial arts in that one. So yeah, good win for Big Norm, but where do you go at 145? Like, is it even still a division?
Yeah, I don't know. People saying Ronda Rousey's coming back. I think that was just Chelsea Chandler talking shit, and then all of a sudden it's like the biggest news article in MMA. But yeah, 145, man. I don't know. After Nunez retires, you're just not going to see a lot of fights in the division. If you're the champ there, you're not going to defend very often. So yeah, I don't know what they do with the division, but Norma Dumont probably looked better than she ever has last night, and they had the backstage beef. Going at each other at weigh-ins. Norma just came out with a little more fire and, beat her to the punch early. And when she ran across the octagon, man, I literally spit my drink out laughing because, I mean, I've seen people avoid and evade and kind of circle around the octagon like CJ Vergara recently. In that first round in San Antonio, you've seen McGregor do it, on and on. But, dude, she turned directly around and ran straight across the octagon, and I'd never seen it that blatant before, and I just had to laugh. So props to her for hanging in there, though. She was eating some big shots after the fact too, and hung on. But
it was like she got hit, and then she ran to the fence, and then she was like, oh shit, what do I do?
Where do I go?
Like,
yeah, where do I go now?
Look back like, oh no, I'm trapped.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wild, but
definitely funny.
Norma Dumont, if she gets the win, she lost a split decision to Macy Chasson. If she gets that win, she's on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Either way, she's 6-1 in her last 7. And the queen of the 145 division, I would say. Is there one better 145er in the UFC? Probably not. So that's Big Norm. But move on to the free play of the week. Cash again. What's the record for the free plays again?
7-2 now.
7-2 on the Double Leg Instagram. At the Double Leg, the free play of the week. Nazim Sadyakov, money line, -130. Cashing in the second round. And thought it was going to be a TKO, but Terrence McKinney gets his arm caught and he gets rear naked choked. And it seems like that's where we're making our money now, is fading Terrence McKinney, because the guy, if he can't get you out in the first round, it's like pretty much over after that. It's like you may pretty much just chalk it up. Love you, Terrence McKinney, but it's like if he wins round 1, like in every fight, unless he gets finished, like he's never lost a round 1. And round 2, I don't think he's ever won a round 2. So it's like after round 1, you can pretty much chalk it up. His opponent's going to win. And that's kind of how we saw it going out. We didn't think McKinney could finish him because Sadikoff's pretty durable everywhere he goes. He trains with Aljo, Marab, like trains with some of the best. I don't think he's going to get subbed by Terrence McKinney. Of course, he gets his back taken, doesn't get subbed. And then after that, we're like, we're good. We're chilling right now.
In the bag at that point.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, it sucks for Terrence McKinney because the dude is one of the most talented fighters you're ever going to see. But just a one-round fighter. I hate to say that. I don't know if it's that he's a one-round fighter and he fades, but it feels like the first big shot he eats, everything changes in there. Like he's looking good, gets some takedowns, he'll land some big shots of his own, and then he takes one big blow, and all of a sudden he's like a deer in headlights out there. And you kind of saw it in that second round. Nazim got the back, got the hooks in, and then that was all she wrote. So yeah, I knew if we could just survive that first round, we were golden. And I'll always take a guy that can fight for 3 rounds rather than a dangerous guy in round 1. So yeah, it was a good pick on our part. I'll brag on us a little bit.
Yeah. I love when you see a fight going a certain way and then it goes exactly that way.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Yep.
But yes, so I hope they could give Terrence McKinney like somebody that's not that durable, like moving forward, just like get him back on track because he is very fun to watch. Melsik Bagdasarian, pretty fun to watch with the kickboxing, and Tucker Lutz, tough dude, man. I don't know how he took some of those shots. A lot of tough fighters on this card in general, but Tucker Lutz needed to get him to the ground, needed to hold him there, and he couldn't really do it. Melsik, though, I mean, you could even talk about Sadykhov in the last fight. The cage grab could have played a factor. Melsik was grabbing the cage a good amount of times, and kick to the nuts and an eye poke. So that doesn't help if you're Tucker Lutz. But either way, I thought he won the fight. What'd you think?
Yeah, so I'll say this. So you and I were both on Tucker Lutz, and for me, it was basically because of the wrestling. I thought he could get Melsik down, and he could, win a couple of rounds and hang in there tough and not get finished. But I think even if Melsik gets a point taken away, at worst it's a draw. I think Melsik, on a scorecard, probably could have still won the fight. Just depends what judges were in there. So I'm not trying to make an excuse saying that we should have, had the bet pushed or even won, because I thought Melsik, was obviously winning the fight. But Melsik was grabbing the cage. The ref would run around and look at it. He would turn to the other side, grab the cage with his other hand, and like it was back and forth. Like there's so many fence grabs, and then take the low blow, take the eye poke, and not a single point taken. Like there was 3 different fouls that the ref saw, but it was really more like 5 or 6 with the fence grabs, and we just the ref wouldn't do anything about it. I think it was Jacob
Montalvo.
Yeah, and man, that was kind of disappointing. I wanted to get a point taken away just to not lose that one and have it push at least. But what can you do? He definitely lost the fight. So
yeah, I don't understand how like there could be so many fence grabs, and then it's like they just tell him like don't grab the fence. It's like, well, he's still grabbing it. So what are you gonna do? Swat at it? Then he's just gonna go to the other side and grab that one. So yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, Melsik, I think Melsik he's just the better fighter at that point. Tucker Lutz's only way to go about it was to hold him and make it dirty, because on the feet he was getting outclassed.
Melsik's gonna be fun to watch. Like striker versus striker, I'm gonna watch and be excited for every single Melsik Bagdasarian fight when he's fighting another striker. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, he's nasty. Dudakova, Estela Nunes. Speaking of nasty, this one I'm pissed at. This is the worst. I think this is the worst when you have like a bet on someone and they get injured in like the first round. Like it's just like you don't even get to see it play out. Like I'd rather have a bet on someone and they lose, or like they get knocked out or something. Like at least then they lost. Like
right.
It's this one, and I always think back to the Tom Aspinall Curtis Blades fight, as far as like you just get freak injury and you're out in like first 15 seconds, first 30 seconds. Sucks, but yeah, I still think Estela Nunes would have pieced her up on the feet.
I do too, man. I do too. Yeah, I was loving that dog play. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Like this is textbook take the dog in this situation for women's MMA. And women's dogs, in general are cashing at an unbelievable rate this year. But you mix in the fact that Dudakova is making her UFC debut. She's never really fought anybody like Estela Nunes, at that striking level. And if you watch Dudakova's tape, like she was not this, dominant wrestler and grappler that, a lot of people are kind of making her out to be. We saw it with Petrovic. She lost. We saw it with Jacqueline Amorim. She lost to Sam Hughes. So, I mean, I thought Nunes had a great chance to go in there, piece her up, and even get her out of there in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing how that one played out, even though it is women's MMA. I was invested in it. I was super invested.
Yep.
Melky Costa just destroying Austin Lingo. This was a bad beat of the night for me. I thought if Austin Lingo like wasn't so damn tough, he would have at least given up or like acted like he was gonna get finished, because Melky was just ripping shit to the body with those kicks and he'd mix it up to the head sometimes, and Lingo would partially block it. It's like just a beatdown for Melky Costa, and I saw that going that way, but I thought he'd finish him. I thought Lingo would eventually succumb to the pressure on the feet, or if he got it to the ground, he'd get subbed. Props to him. Props to him. He took a beating and never gave up because it didn't really look like that fight was going to go any other way. Like he could have easily taken the way out. Doesn't. Sometimes you got to take the fighter's durability into account if you're looking for a finish prop. But yeah, good win for Costa. What you think?
Yeah, great win for Costa, and he looked phenomenal. I mean, Austin Lingo is a pure striker. That's what he's a great boxer, and Costa just pieced him up. Those kicks were nasty. I like the kicks and volume that he throws too, because for Lingo, you could tell he was kind of getting confused. Is he going to come to the body, the leg, upstairs with it, and kept him off balance the whole entire fight and just kind of guessing. And I think it limited his ability to throw strikes back at times too, because he was trying to figure out which kick's coming next. And Costa was big in there, man. He looked massive. So yeah, I think Costa's a good prospect to watch going forward. Kind of a tough go of it for Austin Lingo lately. Like I said, he's a good striker, but last night he was outclassed on the feet, and Costa just kind of had his way with him. So yeah, great fight for Costa.
Evan Elder, Genaro Valdez, another one of those where
Great fight.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Valdez just so damn durable. Both guys got knocked down. Valdez would get knocked out at the beginning of the round for I don't know why, but that's just his thing to get knocked down at the beginning of the round. Every round he pretty much got knocked down. Only one of them got scored, but he'd get stunned at the beginning of every round. Evan Elder nearly gets finished in round 2. That was looking a little dicey if you had an Evan Elder play, but I had Evan Elder by finish, and Valdez was just too damn tough. I mean, that guy's face was getting rearranged, and props to him because Evan Elder hits pretty hard. Like he throws with some intent, and he took 96 strikes. Valdez did, so props to him for surviving. What'd you think?
Yeah, Evan Elder's super good. I think he's a great fighter. Obviously, got clipped a little there in that second, but man, he's just composed too. On the feet, I love watching him fight. He's with Killcliff. He's got great fighters around him. I think he's going to be a good fighter in the UFC, even though he was still trying to get that first UFC win. But man, Valdez will make you nervous because I was on Elder KO too, and I thought for sure if Elder was going to win, it was going to be by finish. I didn't see it going to decision, even if I could have saw Valdez winning by knockout as well. I just did not see this one going to the judges' scorecards. I don't think a lot of people did. Both guys hit hard. Both guys are accurate. And obviously both dudes are dogs and tough as nails too. So it made for a really, really fun fight. Valdez, with a performance like that, getting hurt that many times, even clipping Elder, I think, that's 2 losses in a row, I believe, 2 or 3. I think he sticks around just for being that fun of a fighter to watch. And Evan Elder, good to get a win under his belt and kind of just start your UFC career from here.
Yeah, if you had a fight to go the distance ticket, you were a smart man, but you also sweated.
Yeah, sweating. Yeah.
You'd be really sweating. Also, if you were sweating, you were sweating if you had Azat Maxim because if you look at the numbers, Tyson Nam outstruck Azat Maxim in every round. And total numbers 81-46, 31-15 in the second round, 31-13 in round 3. All the judges gave Tyson Nam round 3. But I guess round 2 would be the swing round.
Yeah.
Because Maxim, it was kind of back and forth in round 1 for Nam and Maxim. And then Maxim gets the takedown towards the end of the round, kind of swings it his way. Round 2 gets outstruck, nearly doubled up by Tyson Nam. But I guess the more significant strikes or harder impact strikes were by Azat Maxim maybe, but definitely not a minus 400 favorite there for Azat Maxim. What'd you think?
Yeah, if you had Tyson Nam on the money line, I think it was a solid play because you go to the judges' scorecards in a close fight like that as a big underdog. That's a pretty solid read. You're at least giving yourself a chance there. But yeah, Azat Maxim, I don't know if I saw it. I mean, I didn't see this phenomenal 16-0 killer that's minus 400 going into a fight last night. He's got a really good jab. I think that was what looked really good to the judges too. Like that jab was quick, it was snappy, it was popping the head back and Nam, and it looked really good. So yeah, I think he's a solid fighter, but man, he was not worthy of being that big of a favorite in my opinion. Tyson Nam being that a little older, he hung in there. He stuffed some takedowns when he had to. He landed some good shots himself. So I mean, what more can you ask of Nam there? Yeah, though I just wasn't super impressed with Maxim. I think he's going to have some trouble with some of these guys that are a little bit better than Nam.
Yeah, I'd be looking to fade him in the future for sure because 17-0 Kazakhstan guy. I think you're always going to be like looked at as some killer, but
yeah,
I don't really see it. I mean, like you said, pretty solid on the feet, but nothing like special.
right.
And the wrestling is like Nam has good takedown defense, but the wrestling wasn't anything special either. So,
and he's just not a strong guy to where he's going to overpower you and drag you down. He's not very strong at all. So that could bite him in the ass as he goes forward.
He looks super skinny compared to Tyson Nam. Like, I don't know what it was, but those legs looked like they were about to break every time Nam would land a leg kick. Didn't look good. Another fight that didn't look good. Alexander Munoz, Carl Dean. This thing was like watching. I don't know. It looked awful. It looked really awful because Munoz wouldn't throw anything on the feet. Carl Deaton was like, he would land some stuff. Like when Munoz landed, it looked like he shocked Carl Deaton with like a electrical taser, and then he just wouldn't throw. Like he'd faint, take a shot, feint, take a shot, throw, and land him and like hurt him, and then do nothing. And then he waited till like the third round to really go for the wrestling, and it worked out for him, and he got the win. But like, this was just a disgusting fight. Like, I don't know, man. Like, neither of these guys just shouldn't be in the UFC. Like, just at that point, they just get them out of here, move on, and get some more people from the Contender Series. But I don't need to see either of these guys in the UFC again. I'm sorry. What did you think?
Yeah, no, it was ugly. I think they said that Munoz landed 2 strikes in the first round. Was that right?
Yeah, that was the unofficial numbers. They upped it to 8.
8. Yeah, dude, just ugly, man. Both guys not really doing much of anything. I know Deaton got hurt a couple of times when Munoz decided to throw. Like, he landed some good shots, but it wasn't pretty by any means. Munoz is the wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male. I expected him to kind of try to dominate in that fashion a little bit more. And overall, it's just kind of a snooze fest, if I'm being honest. I didn't have anything on this fight, nothing anywhere close, so I wasn't completely locked into it. But yeah, just not a very good fight.
Well, oddly enough, I had Munoz and Eileen Perez in a parlay, and it cashed off to start us off, which takes us to the first fight of the night. Eileen Perez getting it done with 10 takedowns to Ashley Evans Smith. We called it out on the underdog play. Was higher than 1.5 takedowns. She cashed that in probably like 2 minutes into the fight. So we were looking pretty good. She ends up with 10 and just beat the brakes off of Ashley Evans Smith. One of the judges, Mike Bell, gave her, or two of the judges, Mike Bell and Derek Cleary, gave her 2 10-8s. Round 1 at 10-8, round 3 at 10-8. And Brian Puccillo gave her a 30-26, round 1 at 10-8 as well. A beatdown. An absolute beatdown. Ashley Evans Smith had no room to breathe whatsoever. And that was quite the game plan. Smart game plan by Eileen Perez. But where does she go from here in the women's bantamweight division?
Yeah, I don't know what's next for her. She's 1-1 now in the UFC. Did set a record for most takedowns ever in a women's bantamweight fight. But yeah, I mean, Ashley Evans Smith just didn't have an answer for the takedowns, and she wasn't going to get up from Eileen Perez. And going forward, Perez, as good as she looked against Ashley Evans Smith in the fight last night, I just don't see her dominating higher level competition like that in the UFC, and especially girls who can strike a little bit better and girls who are going to be who are able to stuff the takedowns and who are able to get up from under you. Because I think if Ashley Evans Smith would have just been able to get back to the feet a few times, I think you see Eileen Perez slow down a little bit more, and then she's not easily landing those takedowns, and you got to fight on the feet a little bit longer. But yeah, and the fact that she didn't really, sink the finish in either when you had however many minutes of top control, you were in full mount, raining down elbows. I mean, Eileen Perez probably should have finished that fight at some point, and she didn't. So yeah, hard to tell where she goes from here. Congrats to her though for the first UFC win and setting records, and the little twerk thing afterwards. You know, you're always going to expect that when she wins. Yeah, man, I don't know where she goes from here.
Yeah, it was a impressive performance, and she's like a fun fighter, fun character, I guess, because she's got a lot of energy, and she'll go out there and she's not afraid to scrap. Like
No.
when she would throw hands, like she wasn't shying away at all. But obviously her takedowns are going to be her strong suit. Moving forward, that was probably the bottom of the barrel of women's bantamweight. So
Right.
we'll see how she can do moving forward. But yeah, good performance for her, and we'll see who they give her next. But that's the recap for UFC Vegas 77. We got UFC London next week. We got 15 fights scheduled right now. Hopefully, none of them have to pull out or none of them have any weight issues, but we got 15, so a little bit of a buffer. It's going to be an early card starting at noon on the East Coast because it's in London. Headlined by Tom Aspinall and Marcin Tybura. Co-main event, Molly McCann and Yulia Stoliarenko, which is pretty disgusting, if I have to say. But the rest of the fights are pretty good. I will say that. Good matchups, pretty close matchups. We'll be breaking that down in the next video. We'll go through the full card and give you the insight there. But till then, if you want to follow us on the medias, at the Double Egg on Instagram, at HeyJai Picks on the medias for me. Where can they find you?
On all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the Parlay MMA.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, drop a subscription to support the channel. We'll see you in the next video breaking down UFC